New Hampshire Motor Speedway and the New Hampshire 100 for the Whelen Modified Tour today. Ron Silk is your leader. Rowan Pennick in second. Ryan Newman, yes, Newman, as a lot of the modified guys say, is up to third.
And you know what's interesting? You see Newman to the front. Hirschman wasn't long ago. He was running in the top 3 or 4. He's all the way back to 10th as we speak. So something that might be wrong with his car right now. He's sort of losing steam with that front pack of cars.
We saw the 51 car there of Justin Bonsignor. He slid high in turn 4 on lap 1. Lost a bunch of spots. Now he's coming back to the front of the field. He's already up to 6 and pressuring for that top 5 spot.
There you see Rowan Pennick in the 93. He pulls to the inside of Ron Silk. He takes the lead back. Now, they were telling me in the garage area that Rowan Pennick and Silk, they got a little bit of a rivalry that's going on right now.
They do have a big rivalry going on. They don't like each other all that much. I've gotten into a couple of on-track instances in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, but you know what? Right now, it's pedal to the metal. They're not worrying who's around them right now at this stage of the race. 15 laps in the books here, and Ronnie Silk looking inside and out.
What we saw there was the Pennick moving down to the bottom, trying to block that traffic.
We'll go down pit side to Dick Berggren.
Well, Ronnie Silk is 28 years old, and he has been racing since age 7. He has never won a championship in his life, not in any of the many divisions in which he has participated. I asked him before the start of the race how big it would be for him to win today and put another nail, if you will, in his possibility for a championship, and he tried to put it in words. He tried again. He couldn't. Today is so big for Ronnie Silk.
Ronnie Silk with 6 victories on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And look at that, Matt Hirschman. Right back to the lead goes Ronnie Silk and Rowan Pennick. Look at that, dicing it out here, coming off of turn number 4.
What was interesting there, guys, we saw Newman up to second, got a little high in 1 and 2. He dropped all the way back to 5th position.
I'm going to tell you, this cat right there that has just moved up into the 5th spot is hungry, from Long Island. He's the Riverhead Raceway Modified Champion this year. He's run the Tour for the past 2 seasons. Watch that 51 car. He was hot on Newman's tail right there at the end of that Bristol Motor Speedway race. He thinks he's got a car that could beat old Newman here today.
Yeah, he's only 21 years old. He actually won the Rookie of the Year in the Modified Tour last year.
His family been in racing on Long Island for so many years in the go-kart ranks, but a lot of side-by-side racing all over the place right there. But that 51 car, and you got another young hotshot there, just 19 years old, Eric Rudolph, just behind them in that 98 machine.
It's going to be interesting here. We're starting to see some separation. We see the first 3 cars of Silk, Pennick, and Deers. There's a change for fourth. That's interesting because Newman dropped back. That's what I wanted to get at. Where Bonsignor and was following Newman, they actually lost about a second to these guys. So this could be interesting to see if Bonsignor is faster to pull back up to the top 3.
Bob, am I right in saying that even though Newman was disqualified in the July race, that 77 car, he won the race? He didn't dominate that race, though. I think it was kind of late in the race before he truly got up there, wasn't it?
But Todd Zegedy, who was actually declared the winner, he actually said Ryan Newman was just playing with him with that high horsepower motor. Look at the 45 car there of Eric Beers. He was fastest in practice here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and he's hanging tough right there from Northampton, Pennsylvania.
Yes, Beers family, long-time racers down from my neck of the woods in Pennsylvania. Good to see Eric doing well. What we're seeing here, though, is Pennick and Silk. Really, these guys have stayed up front all day, and once again, this bump draft, I think these guys have figured it out now, Larry, and it's working for their advantage. They're actually starting to separate a little bit from the rest of the field.
Hey, we said Mr. Mayhem, Teddy Christopher, we were going to follow his way through the field. There's that 36 car, and Christopher certainly on the move. He moves to 11th right now, so Teddy Christopher starts 29th, and only 21 laps into this race, he's almost into the top 10, but here we go, back up front, another leader, Ronnie Silk, and take a look at this, Justin Bonsignor.
Yeah, but look at this pack of cars. Bonsignor, look how Lucy got off the corner, but this is great racing. Bonsignor got past Newman, now he gets past Pierce. He says, guys, I'm not done. I'm going to come up here and mess with some Silk and Pennick here shortly.
But I go to what Jimmy Spencer said at the top of the show. When I look at those top 4 drivers, I think they've got on their mind, we are not going to let Ryan Newman beat us here today.
And Larry, you know, we talked about it a little earlier where Newman got high. These guys before used to give a little bit more room. They said, wait a minute, Newman, we're just not going to move over for you area. So I think you're right. These guys, hey, we're the modified boys. You just can't come in and take our money all the time.
You know, Mike Stefanik spun a little while ago in this race, but he described the draft this way. He says, you know what? You pull up alongside of somebody, go down the straightaway here, you go into the corner, whether it's 1 or 3, you basically play a game of chicken because it's going to be who lets off first that actually doesn't get the spot.
And you know, the thing is, Bobby, is we're so relevant to say, plate racing, you never lift. These guys have to lift. They can't go through there, even though they got a plate on them, even though they're drafting. They still can't go through this track flat-footed. The cars won't handle it.
We are not even a fourth of the way through this race. We've already had 12 lead changes, especially up here with Silk and Penny.
This is awesome. Take a look at that. 3 leaders so far. Beers, Silk, and Pennick. And Pennick, he's a tough guy, too. Out of the Pennsylvania area as well. And he's got some guns like old Jeff Hammond.
The thing about Pennick, I watched this guy win his first race last year at Riverhead Speedway. It was a great race. And the thing is that the modifieds, like you said earlier, this is the mainstay here. And these guys are showing Newman today. Newman is having his hands while he's passed back Bonsignor. He's back up the 4th. But these guys in the front, they're racing hard.
Got some fluid there on the in-car camera lens for Ryan Newman. We'll check that out when we come back here. Don't go anywhere. 13 lead changes already. We're only 25 laps into this race. And of course, Chris Devoto will have the setup right after this race. 26 laps in the books of 100 here. Rowan Pennick is your leader. Ronnie Silk in second. Eric Beers in third. Old Ryan Newman there is back in that 4th spot.
You know, when I look at Eric Beers in that 45 car, qualified on the outside of the front row, he comes in here 4th in the points. In 13 races this year, he has completed all but 2 laps of competition. One reason, he's 4th in the points.
Very consistent, certainly. You got a lot of movers and shakers there. Just want to update you. Ted Christopher back up to 9th.
The big thing about Christopher is he started in the rear because of circumstances, but he is all the way up to the top 10 under green flag conditions, Bobby. And another guy you just brought up, Santos.
Bobby Santos started 28th here. He has now moved up to the 17th spot, so not moving through the field as quick as Ted Christopher. But Jimmy, I want to talk to you about this paint scheme because we all know that Richie Evans is going to be inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame this year. Richie Evans,
God, does that look like
I'll tell you what, that's a tribute scheme to Richie Evans, the 9-time NASCAR National Modified Champion. That's a great looking race car, and you went side by side with a car that looked like that with the number 61 on the side.
And I got to thank Santos and his car owner Bob Garbarino for doing this for the modified fans, me being one of them. You know, Larry, when you see a tribute car like this, you know, you and I were talking earlier about Richie. He is the first guy outside of the Sprint Cup Series, so to speak, to get recognition. I think that's a tribute to the Hall of Fame and how important the short track races are for NASCAR.
Yeah, 9 modified tour championships, had an opportunity. It was offered some Sprint Cup Series rides, but elected to stay in the modified.
Really good friends with him, and I was fortunate. I stayed at his house, and little Richie was growing up and everything. And Richie told me, I said, Richie, no idea wanting to go south. He says, no, Spence. He says, I make a lot of money short track racing, plus I get to race 100 races a year. The big thing for that was you could race Tuesday, Wednesday nights, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I think that was a big thing for Richie. He enjoyed the modified, he enjoyed the fans, and he was truly a guy you knew you had to try to beat. It wasn't easy to do, but you could beat him sometimes. You never could beat him all the time. He was truly a champion.
Loved watching the Rapid Roman and Big Orange come to my home track when I was a kid up in the grandstands at Islip Speedway, and that car is just awesome. And remember, Speed is your motorsports authority and also your home to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So Bobby Santos III, he's got a lot of history, racing history in his family, and he certainly knows how important it is to carry Richie Evans' colors. But back up front, another lead change for the 14th time here. Take a look at that. Ronnie Silk back up front. That 6 car is very strong.
The big thing is the 6 and the 93 have been first or second most of the time, and we're seeing Newman. He tried to stretch in there, tried to push his way up there. He doesn't seem to have the car that's necessary. Right now he's running fifth with Pennick and Silk strong right now.
We got a new player up there in that top 5. Woody Pitcat in the 28 car. He's moved up to the 4th position there, right behind Eric Beers.
Pitcat, a multi-time champion at the Stafford Speedway in Connecticut. Side to Dick Berggren.
Pitcat, however, has never won in this tour. He finished second here in August. That is his career best finish ever. And today is the last race for his team. Car owner Don King, after 12 years, has left his job, and therefore he needs to leave auto racing. He doesn't have the money to fund it anymore. So Pitcat, hard on the gas in car number 28 to try to win in the team's last run.
Check out that move right there by that 36. He's another Mr. Excitement. I know we used to call Jimmy Spencer Mr. Excitement, but Teddy Christopher is certainly plenty exciting himself, and he has now moved up to the 5th spot. Teddy Christopher cracks the top 5.
And another guy we want to mention here is Rudolph. There's another family strong in the modifieds, mainly in the New York area. His father raced. Rudolph finally into the top 10. So, but Teddy right now showing his hand. He passed Newman. This race is getting pretty interesting right about now, baby.
Rowan Pennick is your leader, 34 laps in the books here. Newman falling back a little bit. He's back to 7th right now.